So, hello and welcome to another episode of the MobyDick School. In our last episode, we added a few devices to our MobyDick system. So the SNOM telephone I have here and also the soft phone that you can see on the screen there. What we're going to do today is we're going to add some users so we can actually start making some telephone calls. Now, there's a few things that we need to explain here. First things first, so if we go into our wiki pages, so wiki.passcom.net, and under step-by-step configurations, user and user locations, we have a description of how the system actually works. Now, what's important to understand is here we have our extension number, okay? And the extension number with the MobyDick is actually assigned to the user and not to end devices. But the end devices will then be, the user will then be assigned to the end devices. Okay, so we have here our device pool, so telephones, mobiles, tablets, doesn't matter what, and then our user. And the reason for this is that, you know, in the modern day working world, people need to be very mobile. And you need to be also contactable all the time, and you don't want to be having 10 different telephone numbers. You want one which you can control everything from. So the ideal scenario is your office telephone number, so your telephone number that your main handset, your SNOM or whatever device will ring on. But when you're out of the office, it'll also ring on your mobile or your tablet or your soft phone on PC when you're in home office, for example. Okay, so that's very important to understand. It's quite a simple concept, but some people do get a little bit confused by it. Okay, so how do we actually add a user? What we need to do is, in the MobyDick commander, we go to the user menu and then click user list. Now, we have a few options, but this is the simplest, so we're going to start with this one, and we just click on add. Okay, and here we can see we have a few details that we have to fill in. Now, as I said, we've got two devices, so we need to set up two users. So I'm just going to quickly do this. I'm going to set up my first one with my login name, J Barton, and then my passwords, nice and simple for this setup, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then our PIN number 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the reason why we differentiate between password and PIN. Now imagine you have got your password set up and it has to be a minimum of 8 characters, but it's like so long and it's got special characters and so on, and you want to call up your voicemail, for example, from your actual SNOM device. Imagine having to enter that password into the SNOM device. Gets a bit, of a hassle. So what we've done is we've set up a PIN which you can use for your telephone, and a password which everything that you do on your computer, so logging into the client and so on, is done through this password, and everything on the phone through your PIN. Nice and simple, makes it easier for the users, but yeah, we need to add that. And then we have to add our display name, so the name that you want to transmit with telephone calls and be shown in client and so on. And as I said earlier, important, we need to assign an extension number. So I'm assigning myself the extension 100. Okay. We could also, if we wanted to, assign a fax extension. We don't need to for today, but say, for example, you wanted your users to have their own fax extension number, then you could do that. Doesn't always make sense. Sometimes it does. Our scenario, it doesn't. The next thing is email address. Again, we're going to assign an email address to ourselves here. And the reason for this is if we look underneath, we said use voicemail box. When you are setting up your users, they will automatically be assigned a voicemail box, regardless of whether they want to use it or not, okay? And the reason why you then can enter an email address is for voicemails. If you want to get your users' voicemails sent to their email addresses, you can do that. Again, you can do that with fax as well. So for this scenario, I'm going to say, right, I want it for external calls only, so a call coming in from the outside. If I was to set it to internal calls, only internal users will be able to reach my voicemail, and for all calls will be both. Now, internal users sometimes doesn't make sense. If you're in one office, one of your colleagues tries to call you, they just put the phone down and they walk to your desk. If you're in a much larger organization with multiple locations, yeah, internal calls also make sense. But for today, I'm going to say external calls only. Okay. And then, as I said, we're setting up two users, so we click on Save and Next. Okay, and the next user I'm going to set up is going to be Jack Jones. And Again, we're going to use our wonderfully secure password, 12345678, and the PIN number 1234. And here we go. Here's his display name. If I could type. There we go. I'm going to give him the extension number 200. Okay. And he is also not going to get a fax, and he's also not going to get an email, and his voicemail is going to be set to do not use. Okay. And so we click on Save, and we can see automatically that our two users have been added to the list. Okay, so good so far. What we need to do is now assign these users to actual devices. So we select them both, and we click on Edit. Okay, the first one that comes up we can see is Jack Jones. And so what I'm going to do is we use the Assigned Devices tab, and we can see here we have our two devices that are available and free. Okay, and I'm going to assign Jack the soft phone, and there it goes. It appears in the Assigned Devices list. Okay, and then we press on Save and Continue, and repeat the process for myself. Okay, now you can see here available free devices. The soft phone, you can see current location has been set to Jack Jones, so that means it's assigned to Jack now. And what I can do is I can then assign myself the SNOM phone. A further feature that we've got here is the filter. So for example, if I wanted to search for a free SNOM phone, I can type in SNOM, and it takes away the soft phone, but only shows me the SNOM phone. So I'm going to go ahead and assign that, and press Save and Close. So good, okay, we have assigned our devices. Doesn't mean we can telephone just yet. What we need to do now is actually apply the settings that we've created to the MobyDick system and send those settings to the devices and so on. And this is done by, in the info box here, pressing Apply, and as you can see, it starts running through, and it's going to go through all the settings. And if you can see on the SNOM phone, it will start restarting itself in a second or so. And yeah, while that's restarting, what we can do is look at some of the other options of how to, there you go, it's restarting, of how to actually import more users into the MobyDick. Because this system is fine if you've got 5 to 10 users, but imagine you've got 100 or more. It takes a while. So what we're going to do is we're going to go under Appliance, and under Import, we have two options here. We've got User Import and the Advanced Import. Okay, as Advanced Import, as the name suggests, got a few more advanced features. I click on that, and here I've got a Microsoft Office Excel file that I can download. It's actually an XLSX file, which is good because it means it's more compatible with, say for example, OpenOffice, LibreOffice, so it can be used in more Office programs. Just quickly open that, and we can see here this one's actually in German because I'm actually using a demo system that we've got set up in our office here in Germany. So I'm just going to quickly go through what all these things mean. Here, under Feld, that means field, Beispiel, example, Erklärung, explanation. Anzeigenname is display name, Benutzername, username, and so on. So basically we've got the same options as we had in the simple import, but we've also got a few other options here under the MAC address and so on, which we can use for more advanced features later on, which will be covered in another tutorial. So what I could do is I could then just fill this in and save it, and then using the upload tool here, I could then turn around and say, okay, done, and it's automatically done for me. Now that's all well and good. Now imagine a scenario where you've got God knows how many users, and you have to redo that every time you've got a new user coming in, or an old user's come out, or whatever. That can be quite strenuous. So we also have the more advanced option. So under the Advanced tab, we can go to Connector, and this is the MobyDick connector. And what we can do here is we can, under Add, we can create our own connector profiles. And that means I can integrate, say for example, Active Directory or CSV files and so on, and achieve an almost live synchronization of my user data with the MobyDick. And one of the benefits of this, I mean, for example, if you're integrating Active Directory, you can integrate any number of LDAP directory services. And through doing this, say for example, I add a user into the Active Directory, after a short period of time, they are automatically synchronized with the MobyDick, and they can pretty much start calling. So that's a pretty good feature. Now, we're going to have a quick look back at the device list, and we are going to see whether our devices are up and running. Yep, we can see here they're blue, and we can see that we've got the assigned names and so on. And so I'm going to try and make a phone call and see whether this works or not. Okay, so I'm using the soft phone from Jack. Remember, he had the 200, and I'm going to call myself. I've got the 100. Just give me a quick call, and there we go. And you can see on my screen, Jack Jones is ringing me. Simple as that. Okay, so that's the main settings for internal telephony setup. For external, a few more things need to be done, but that is the basic setup. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, goodbye.